If you want to play good pickleball, then great footwork is an essential part of that. So in this video, I'm going to give you 5 key footwork techniques that are must-have for your game. So when it comes to having good footwork, there's a lot of parts to it. We've got the actual movement from where you are to where you want to get to for the ball. There's how you kind of get yourself slowed down and set up for the ball. So how we call load or plant. And then there's what you should be doing when your opponent is actually hitting the ball. So there's a lot of phases to kind of the whole footwork part of things. So in this video, what we're going to do is we're going to go over kind of what I think are the 5 kind of essential movements that you need in your game. There's obviously more, but we're going to focus on the 5 key ones. And hopefully by the end of this, you'll be moving around the court much more efficiently. So the first movement that we're going to go over is pretty simple, pretty common, but I see it kind of done incorrectly so often. And so this is called just straight line movement. And it's a very natural movement for our body. But basically, anytime the ball is a little bit of a longer distance from you, we want to get your hips and your body faced directly to, so that ball right there, that's going to like represent where my contact would be. So if I needed to move from where I am to that ball, a lot of times I see kind of like weird shuffling and hopping and all this kind of different stuff. We want to have a straight line kind of like walking or running movement. So if I'm trying to go more than 1 to 2 steps, I'm going to line up and I'm going to run directly at that spot. That's going to be my quickest point from point A to point B. And this is going to be used, like I said, if you've got longer distances to cover, and also definitely more as you're moving forward in the court. So like in this one where I got to run forward for the ball, we don't want to turn early and shuffle all the way up to that. We don't want to hop or do any sort of weird movements. If we need to cover a lot of ground, we turn and we run in a straight line to that spot. That's going to be our quickest way to get from point A to point B and cover a lot of ground. Hey guys, I appreciate you watching the video. If you're enjoying this type of content and you want to see more like this, it really helps if you can like and subscribe. That helps the algorithm, helps my channel, and helps me make more videos like this. For our second footwork movement, this might be one of the most important ones because it covers a lot of different situations. We can refer to it as the lunge when we're up at the kitchen line, or if we're making those bigger running movements, we're going to call it a load. But I'll explain it, it'll make more sense. So if we're up at the kitchen line and the ball is within kind of a 1-step radius of you, if I take 1 step out to the ball, I call that a lunge step. And what's going to be happening is you're going to be planting generally on your outside foot. And what we need is, when we're lunging out, we need good balance over that leg. So if I'm lunging this way, we want to have our body stacked on top of that and be in balance. So up at the kitchen line, you see this movement constantly. If I'm just taking 1 step to the ball, I'm going to be lunging towards that side. I'm going to getting my body stacked over that leg and balanced. Okay. Now this, we'll refer to it as a load, happens in other movements as well. So for example, if I'm running to a ball, this last step is going to end up being that lunge. So this last step is what kind of slows me down, gets me balanced, and gets me ready to hit the shot if I'm moving those longer distances. Okay, so for the next one, this is going to be kind of, again, a version of this lunge that we talked about, but a more kind of specific movement with a specific purpose. And this is called the step back. A lot of times if the ball's coming and the ball gets on you quickly, it's bouncing at your feet, or we need to buy time. That ball's moving to us quickly and we need to buy time. We're going to use, in essence, this lunge step, but we're going to make it go backwards. So if I take a big step back like this, pretend a ball bounced right here. If I take a big step back, now I create all this space that I can hit from. So this is a movement that you can use at the kitchen line. It's also a movement that you'll use kind of all over the court, through the transition area, even at the baseline. If somebody hits a great return that's deep, that's going to be bouncing here, I can take this step back and I can create all this space now to hit the ball and kind of keep it out in front of me. Okay, so that's the step back. For our next footwork movement, this is going to be the shuffle step, or the shuffle. Okay, generally this is going to be used up at the kitchen line. And again, we talked about how important that lunge is. This is going to be used kind of in conjunction with the lunge. If we're up at the kitchen line, if that ball is kind of like we talked about within that 1-step radius, then I just make my lunge and I hit. If now the ball moves outside of 1 step where I can't reach it in 1 step, we're just gonna add 1 shuffle step in there. So if I shuffle, then that can get me behind the ball. I can cover a little more ground, or I can shuffle and then go into a lunge. Between the shuffle and the lunge, you should be able to cover your half of the court up at the kitchen line really with no problem. So you could go shuffle into a step back or step forward, but generally that shuffle is just gonna be when that ball is kind of outside of our 1-step radius, we're gonna need to add that extra little shuffle step in there. For our last one, this one might be the most important. As we talked about, there's kind of different patterns of movement depending on where the ball is and what the ball is doing. So for this one, this is getting us ready to react to what our opponent's about to do, okay? So this is called the split step. When we hit a ball over to our opponent and our opponent's getting ready to hit the ball's about to touch their paddle, we don't know where it's gonna go. We can anticipate, but we truly don't know what's gonna happen, which direction they're gonna hit it, how hard, how soft. But all we can do is be as ready as possible, be in the most athletic position possible, because if I'm balanced and ready, then whatever they do, I can react to it, okay? So the idea behind a split step is the ball goes over to my opponents. Right when the ball touches their paddle, I'm trying to time that both of my feet touch the ground, got a nice wide base, my legs are loaded, my body's balanced. So once the ball comes off their paddle, whatever direction it goes, I can be very quick to react to that ball. And then we're moving into basically all those different footwork types that we talked about. A split step is kind of what makes all those different footworks really kind of happen or really possible. If you don't split, then you're going to be late doing all that other stuff, and you're going to be really scrambling and trying to play catch up in the point. So remember, as a quick review, we've got our 5 essential movements here. We've got number 1, our straight line movement, which is when we need to cover a lot of ground. A lot of times we're coming from the baseline and moving forward. Or if you're a singles player, you're going to be using a lot of straight line movement because you're having to cover multiple steps, and we got to run to do that quickly. Number 2, we got our lunge step or our load step. That's a critical one because it's going to get you balanced and planted and body in control for each shot that you're about to hit. Number 3, we've got that step back. So we're going to use that step back anytime we're pressed for time or we need to create space. We can use that step back to kind of create a hitting zone for ourselves. Number 4, we've got our shuffle step, which is going to be used mostly up at the kitchen line. If the ball is outside that kind of single step radius, then we're going to throw a shuffle step in there to help out. And then last, we got our split step, which is going to kind of bring everything together, get us prepared for our opponent's shot. Even though we don't know where it's going, split step is going to have us kind of ready to react to anything. So if this seems like a lot to remember, we've got you covered. All of the essential information that I talked about is going to be on your screen, so you can grab a screenshot of it, and then you can take that to the court next time you're about to play, review all of it, and you'll be good to go.